He's a principal of the company, and obviously has a long service in the industry. So, don't believe it.
Thank you. Aloha. So in Hawaii, the word aloha is very confusing because it means hello and it also means goodbye. So kind of weird. Um, I'm from the only state in the United States that has an active volcano. And somebody asked, well, how do you stay safe? And I say, stay away from it. Okay? So my wife and I flew 2 days to get here from Honolulu, 7,400 miles. Okay, so that's equivalent to about 12,000 kilometers. And we don't go by kilometers where I'm from, but ni hao ba. How many here speak Chinese? I don't speak Chinese, so I won't talk anymore about that. I love Scotland. I only have one complaint. You know that the Royal Mile is actually longer than a mile. And so my wife had extra shopping. It's very interesting. We visited the Edinburgh Castle, and the castle is 3,000 years old. And in Hawaii, our buildings are about 40 to 50 years old. If you look outside at those buildings, they're older than 40 or 50 years old. And I have a question like, what? I'm in Hawaii. Why are the buildings all falling apart? And so that's what I'm here to talk about. A lot of our buildings are made of reinforced concrete, so they have rebar covered with steel. Our environment is so corrosive. We have salt, high humidity, rain, sun. What happens is we have trade winds, and it gathers the salt spray from the ocean and it turns into like acid rain. So it lands on concrete, especially if people don't paint their building. And all of a sudden, because the concrete is not waterproof, moisture gets inside. Once it hits the rebar starts expanding, leading to cracking and what we call concrete spalling. So I want to talk to you briefly about that. Okay, so I call this the Hawaii context. Hawaii serves as like a laboratory for spalling or concrete investigation and repair. What happens? Well, what I mentioned before, salt air, you got acid rain, and then also over time, you have corroding rebar leading to concrete spalling. So here we have the physics of concrete failure. You got healthy state, you got a healthy building, loss of passivity, then active corrosion where you got moisture attacking the rebar, and then now you have a spalling condition where it's cracking and it's not a very good condition. So the thing, I've been working on concrete spalling for 45 years, and the thing is, like when we talk to clients, you could see maybe a 1 or 2 foot crack, and they think that's all there is, but it's not. Once you get into it, it may turn from a $500, $1,000 repair could turn into a $20,000 repair or even worse. So basically, that's what we're looking at. So little mechanics, when we talk about rebar, so when the rebar expands, it expands, we like to say maybe from 1 to 7 times its size. And what happens when the rebar is embedded in concrete and it starts expanding? There's nowhere for it to go. It starts cracking the concrete. And sometimes it's prevalent, but you don't see the evidence outside. You can look at the building, look at the wall, and I don't see any problem. But it's happening below the concrete. Now, there's a lot of rebar situations where the rebar starts getting corroded, it expands. We look at the cross section. If the cross section of the rebar, let's say a number 4 rebar, is totally corroded, it expands, there's hardly any metal left, after the 15%, then that's a determination to take the rebar off and replace it. Okay, now some contractors like to say, well, it looks still good, we'll just cover it with concrete. In the old days, that's what they used to do. And then that's why after a spalling repair job, maybe 2 years later, pieces of concrete start falling off again. And then now we have to repair the repairs, which is not good. Well, it's good for the contractor making money, but not good for the client. Case study, and this is a typical situation. We have a 3-story, 10-story, up to 40-story. I work on a lot of 40-story high-rise buildings, so because I'm the engineer that has to inspect, I gotta go on the swing stage. So I have to have my fall protection, hard hat, and all that. And in the United States, there's OSHA regulations, which is a safety regulation. So I have like 10 certifications for that. Why do I do it? Why do I hang off buildings that are 40 stories? I think maybe my parents didn't take me to Disneyland when I was a kid, so I'm trying to have fun there. So what happens is we have a case study here. It was a apartment building that got converted to a condominium building. And basically it's the same building, but the use is different. It's legally not an apartment building owned by one unit owner. It's a condo where every apartment unit is owned by a single owner or a single user. So there were problems when I first got called to do the inspection. There was a walkway, and I just happened to look at one of the buildings, building C, and I'm looking up at the other side of the walkway, and I'm like, I see all these cracks, and I'm like, this is not good. So I walked up the stairs and looked. It was even worse. There were repaired areas, but what happened was the contractor had filled the cracks in and then poured concrete over the cracks without treating the rebar, without doing waterproofing or anything. So bare concrete that just really got attacked. So the photos sort of look like this. So we had entire walkways and lanais that have railings on it that were so bad it required full depth repair. So full depth is you have a 4-inch or 6-inch slab. The whole slab has to be demolished. You can't just fix the top or the bottom. That's how bad it was. It was super corroded. And there's no way to fix it or repair it other than total demolition and start from scratch. So we have a cycle here, breaking the corrosion cell. 1, 2, 3, what happens to the rebar, what we do and all that. So in the field, and I like to work in the field a lot. I don't like to stay in my office looking at my computer. I'm the type that wants to go in the trenches, get dirty, and talk to the contractors and the workers and all that. So a lot of times rebar's so corroded, we have to cut it out and replace it. And there's an option of replacing with another piece of rebar, reinforcing steel, or going to something different like a fiber bar that has no metal in it that would last longer. Okay, so that's an option that I would recommend. So here we have what we call fiber bars. There's a brand name in the US called Gator bars. I don't know if that's in Europe or not, but we try to specify that because it extends the service life a little longer. But really, what extends the service life of the building is once the repairs are done, hey, client, we need to paint your building and we need to waterproof the walkways or any kind of horizontal surface. So I deal with a lot of condominium associations. They don't have any money. So they want to kick the can down the road and say, I don't think we got to do spalling repair. We don't have the money. Let's wait 5 years from now. But during that time period, the paint is failing and now water is getting into the concrete. So it's critical. The paint provides a protection. The waterproofing provides a protection for concrete. I'll talk a little bit about AI, predictive maintenance, the process of construction, where they're inspecting the work and either approving it or rejecting it. every month we sign off on the contractor's pay application before the contractor ever gets paid. So we're like the gatekeeper for the owner. Another term of a construction manager is you could call them the owner's rep. Let me skip over here. We try to have the building safe. And I wrote a book called How Safe Is a Building? And it's on Amazon. And it just won this award. I forget, an Impact International Book Award or something. But I'm not trying to sell the book. If you guys want the book, just contact me and I'll send you the PDF for free. I'm not about making money selling books, although I wrote to date 85 books. They're all on Amazon. Most of them are construction and industry related. The topics are construction, buildings, and stuff. I got a couple on AI and miscellaneous other things. So basically, in a nutshell, that's the whole thing. I'm all about building safety, restoring buildings, not letting it fall apart. That's why I love to visit Europe and seeing these old buildings. When my wife and I went to Rome, I spent hours at the Colosseum wondering, how come this thing isn't falling apart like these buildings in Hawaii? Well, for one, they don't have any rebar. They could get corroded, right? The second thing is they use, and I did research, they used, they call it Roman cement, limestone mix or something. And I still really don't have the formula for that, but that's a new thing, right? So before I go, I want to let you know that my wife and I went on a trip. We went to Europe, we stopped in New York, and then from New York, we went back to Honolulu, Hawaii. When we got back to the airport, our luggage wasn't there. It came 2 days later, right? I flew Delta. Anybody know what Delta stands for? Don't expect luggage to arrive. Thank you very much. Any questions? Anybody?
Awesome. So, at least you still are.
Yeah, we do.
Okay, any questions?
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Right. So next we have